Good morning and welcome to Cover 2 Cook. We are on episode 64. Today is January 14th and we are going to be recapping the NFL Sunday wildcard games and Monday night game that didn't go the way I wanted to for that one. But before I get too far, let me bring on my co-host, Mr. Tim Cook. How you doing today?
I'm doing good today. Yeah, we had 6 games over the Saturday and Sunday and Monday. Our betting didn't do very good. My betting didn't do very good. But I also, before we start, give a shout out to my grandson, your nephew, Liam Cook, he's a solid listener every episode. He turns 8 today. So happy birthday there, Liam.
Yeah, and he commented that one time and said, "That's my grandpa," but forgot that his uncle's on the host of the show. But definitely happy birthday. I'll have to give him a call after this one, and because we do have a special episode that will be dropping on Thursday, where we'll be recording with a really big kind of name when it comes to Notre Dame football. It's really cool. We get to just talk about Notre Dame. Obviously, we're fans of Notre Dame, but we've been pretty central in this year. But they're in the national championship, so we got to talk a little bit about them. But let's get started on the NFL. Sunday afternoon, we started with that Denver Broncos flag you got there, and the Buffalo Bills. What did you think about that game?
Oh, as a Denver fan, boy, they start out hot. Denver went right down the field next to his college buddy, Franklin 7-0. As a Denver fan, I was like, oh, here we go. Let's go. And that was short-lived. The Buffalo scored the next 31 points, and the game was pretty much over. Their defense in the last 5 games, I think, give up almost 30 points a game, 6 games. That you could tell they didn't get no push up front. They let Allen do whatever he did. The rushing, James Cook had over 100 yards rushing in the first half. They've only given up in this season 98 yards per game. They give up 100 in the first half. It was just, he got to do whatever he want. It was not good. They got it to when Cook scored that touchdown, it was 10-7. That was a 7.5-minute drive. You can't have your defense out there for that long. They were just getting gassed. Denver, that one penalty that they had on that, and the DB knew that he screwed up. I mean, you can't hit a selfless defender, a defenseless defender, and he just laid him out. I mean, he almost looked like he had the step arm like Tua, so. They just didn't get any push up front. I mean, they just let Allen. I mean, there was one play where that guy, Ty Johnson, caught in the back of the end zone. He had almost 10 seconds to throw the ball. You can't. I mean, you got to put more pressure on them. At least make them run. I mean, he just got to sit back there and let him do whatever he wanted.
Yeah, I think the defensive line, unfortunately, got exposed in this game. When you look at the size of the offensive line for Buffalo compared to the size of the defensive line for the Broncos, they just were outmatched. I mean, between the size, but also like just the strength. I mean, there was plays where James Cook just kept running and running and running, and it's like just someone hit him low. You got to finish the tackle. I think you look at this year for Denver as you had a rookie quarterback. Did you think you're actually going to make it to the playoffs? Probably not. You make it there, have a great season. I don't think that you lost that game because of Bo Nix. And then you find out after the game that he's got vertebrae problems, or he broke, or what was it? He played through back fractures. Bo Nix did. I mean, that's a hell of a performance by a rookie that had this kind of injury early in the season. I've also saw a lot of reports that Sean Payton's a difficult coach to understand. And what I mean by that is the play calls that come in. I did see that like week 7, Bo Nix actually felt like he was comfortable. So I think that's a pretty successful season for a rookie quarterback. On the other side, Curtis Samuel decided that he plays for the Buffalo Bills. All year we were waiting for this guy to show up. I mean, we saw him at the Commanders, and we were like, okay, that's a great addition for Buffalo's team. But then he was nowhere to be found. They found him against Denver's defense. And the other side is I think they're a tough out. I will say I think it's a great matchup that they'll have coming up. But Josh Allen he's got the arm strength. I think sometimes he is a little bit too of a how hard can I throw the ball? And it's like, yeah, and then it smacks the back of the end zone because nobody's going to catch that damn ball. But I think Denver went in there, and when they went up 7-0, it was like, okay, hey, maybe this is a game. And then it was like, okay, this is reality.
Yeah.
They're not going to play up. They're not going to play to this team.
No, but definitely not. I mean, and also too, the offense, his receivers didn't help him. There was a lot of drop balls.
Yeah.
I mean, they were difficult balls, but they were catchable balls. I feel. I mean, there was a couple of them with Vele, and I can't think of the other kid. I mean, Sutton did awesome. You know, he's a pro, but there were some catches that it's like, come on, you've got to help this kid. You've got to help this guy because he needs all the help. They had to play a perfect game, and they did for the first drive, and then after that, I think Buffalo said, we're done with you. We're not even going to screw with you no more. We're going to go we're going to go right at our strength. They really didn't even need Allen even to make any big plays, really. I mean, that one big play, that fourth down, I mean, that was a hell of a throw. I mean, that defender, I mean, when you got 10 seconds to that DB has no chance whatsoever against that wide receiver. No chance. I mean, and he almost knocked it down.
No, I definitely agree. I apologize about the cough. No, I definitely agree. I mean, he went 20 for 26, 272 yards, 2 passing touchdowns. Great performance because it was do not turn the ball over. And we talked about that on the last podcast.
Yep.
Denver's going to have to make plays on defense to allow their offense to have as many opportunities as possible because you're not going to score a lot. You're not going to score every time. You're not going to. So just give them as much as you can. And they didn't. They didn't. I don't think they had any turnovers. I'm not sure.
I don't think so either.
And so I don't think there was any fumbles that I remember, but like it was just one of these games where Denver knew that they were outmatched. I think they're a year, maybe 2 away to actually be a big contender in the AFC. But there's still a lot of question marks. I mean, some of your defense is kind of getting old. Your offensive wide receiver, I think you need to go out and get a tight end. I'm going to say a tight end. I think you got a couple good wide receivers that can come up. You got a running back by committee in the backfield, so I think you're solid there. It's just getting an offensive, and I will say the other thing I think you have to get is some offensive line. I think you got to solidify just to reassure the career of Bo Nix because he is a Baker Mayfield in my mind. He's a guy that's going to go out and give 110% every game. Unfortunately, sometimes in the NFL, that is not great for a quarterback because you need to slide or get your ass out of bounds. So
Well, and also too, they had that fake punt. I'm thinking, you know, and they're still in the game at that time too. I think they still had a chance, but they just couldn't convert when they needed to convert. Drop balls. I mean, right at that, and then they kicked that field goal right at half, and it doinks it. I'm like, okay, you know, because that would have been big momentum because I think that would have made it 10-10 at the time. I mean, that would have been a close. I mean, going into halftime at 10-10 instead of 10-7, you know, you might still have a ball game. They just finally pulled. I mean, halfway through the third quarter, I think it was still 13-7 at the time, and then that guy catches that one in the end zone. Made it 20-7, then you just kind of like, okay, they're just now gonna pull away.
Yeah, no, definitely agree. It was all about the second half in that game, which takes us to the afternoon game where it was a huge second half difference. Eagles versus Packers. Packers had so many injuries, so many. I just seemed like every time they would take like a little bit of a timeout, it was either a defensive player getting hurt or an offensive lineman or a wide receiver or just so many injuries in this game. While at the same time, A.J. Brown is reading a book on the sideline. I'll tell you right now that is going to be the Achilles heel for them with this whole situation, the drama. That's all it is. It's just drama. You're winning games. You don't need to do stuff like this. But Saquon has a great game, has the type of game where you're like, this is why you went and got him. This is why you wanted this player in the postseason because he can run against these teams. Packers, on the other hand, you didn't have the same type of momentum that you did last year going into playoffs.
Right.
Losing to the Bears, I think a lot of people were like, wow, it didn't really matter. Well, I think it kind of did matter because when you came in here, you didn't seem as confident. But what did you think about this game?
Well, and here's the deal. The kickoff, the Packers guy get the ball and he fumbles it. You can't let the Eagles have that short field right off the bat, which made it 7-0 because they threw it to Dotson. Elliott kicks a field goal. It's 10-0. It's like, uh-oh. And then Love throws an interception. He ended up throwing 3 interceptions for the day. It's just like like you said, that they just couldn't get any momentum going because either somebody was hurt or they just couldn't get any big drives going. They tried to go for it on fourth down, don't convert. It's just, they had a key PI. I mean, the Eagles was 10-3. Keeps the PI, get a PI for the Packers. Keeps that drive going, and then Goddard. I read a report today that he slowed up so he could hit him again.
No, he didn't.
I'm like, I don't think he did, but I tell you what, he give one hell of a stiff arm to that kid, and he just leveled him to the ground. But yeah, he said in an interview that he slowed up so he could hit him again.
Yeah,
it's like, I don't know.
I don't
but
think
that
he
was
did.
a killer too. That had all the momentum. I mean, now it's 16-3 because they missed the extra point, and they tried to, but they just couldn't get anything going.
Yeah,
and once you get behind, now you've taken Jacobs out of the scenario as well.
Agree, and I think when you look at that play, that was the definition of the game. I mean, it was just one team was way more physical than the other team. The Eagles were way more physical than Green Bay, and that you can't have that because that was what Green Bay was running off of, and the end of the season was that they were more physical by running the ball, stopping the run, and they couldn't do that against the Eagles. I think Eagles' offensive line is just so underappreciated in the NFL.
Yeah.
They have 3 Pro Bowlers, and one of them is because of an injury, didn't get Pro Bowl. But like in all reality, they have 4 to 5 Pro Bowlers, and that's after losing Jason Kelsey, who was a 7-year Pro Bowler, whatever.
Yeah.
Like a great player, maybe a Hall of Famer at center.
Right.
You lose all these players, and then you go out and do this year. I think when you think about this year for the Eagles, it's all going to come down to Jalen Hurts and how he can get the passing game going if they don't get off to an early start. Obviously, you love it when you get in the first within the 20-yard line, or you're in the red zone on the first snap of the game.
Yeah.
I think this, we were all wondering if Jalen Hurts was going to come out rusty with the whole situation. He came out and played well, but this AJ Brown shit, I just, I'll never draft him in fantasy. I did one year, I think. I'll never draft him because reading the book on the sideline, I thought it was like a funny thing, and then at the end of the game, they do a press conference, and he's like, I got nothing to say. I had 1 catch. It's like, oh, that wasn't funny. Like, you actually took it to heart that your team blew him out without having to actually use you as a weapon.
Yeah.
Like, why did you feel like you have to be the main weapon? And if that's true, you're going to be gone because Saquon's the main weapon now.
Yeah.
And they're going to use him and abuse him until he's done playing in the NFL. Why wouldn't he? He rushed for over 2,000 yards. Like, the Eagles are going to be a tough out. We're going to have some great games in divisional round.
Yeah, most definitely. And that Sunday night game, which we'll talk about later, Buffalo and the Ravens. I think that's going to be a classic.
Yeah.
But and also too, one thing we found out too, Nakobe Dean is going to be out for the rest of the year for that leg injury.
Yep.
That could hurt their defense a little because he is kind of their, not really centerpiece, but he is one of their better players on defense. So that might hurt them come the next game I think they play the Rams.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Because that'll be the Monday night game that we talk about that could have honestly just been a forfeit in all reality. Well, that takes us to a Sunday night thriller. Now, we did talk about this could be a great game. First half was a snooze fest, though. First half was just, I think teams were just trying to get used to each other, how they're going to play this game. But it was kind of a snooze fest when you first started. But what did you think about this game?
Yeah, the Buccaneers go down, score, kick a field goal, 3-0. Commanders go for it on 4th down, don't convert. I think they should have kicked the field goal. I think we get in this analytics deal, which didn't come back to bite them in the ass at the end. But you've got a rookie quarterback. Get some points on the board. Get him some momentum. Get him some confidence. Well, I guess it didn't matter because then he gets the ball back and he gets Desami Brown involved. That's 7-3. Gonzalez, as you can see, and he's got a little bit of a quirky kind of. He's got ADD, I think is what they said.
Yep.
So he's got to really
OCD.
So he's got to be really focused. But he was the key of the game. I mean, he had 3 field goals. Mayfield, I don't think he'll ever win anything. I really don't, because he's too erratic. He's just all over the place. And that fumble at the end of the game killed them because that sets them up for a touchdown at the end. I mean, and then they still give the ball back and they don't do anything. He's just a gunslinger. And a gunslinger that I knew before, Brett Favre, you know how many championships he won? 1.
Yeah, I actually am going to go in the opposite way of that one. I think Baker Mayfield is the only reason they were even in this game. And what I mean by that is that long run down the middle. That got the offense going. They were struggling to get going. That run where he's just bouncing off people. Now, the fumble, I mean, that's just – you could blame it on the quarterback, right? Or you could blame it on the I think it was McMillan or whatever that came across. You can blame it on whoever you want on that situation. It's a bad handoff. That happens with running backs and quarterbacks all the time. It's the read option. I guess on my whole thought process is, why then? Why did you feel like in that moment you needed to run that play? Because the offense was doing well. So why? I didn't understand that. I thought Mike Evans was underutilized in this game. Like when he was used, it wasn't. It was big plays. It was like, so keep going to him.
Yep.
And then when you look at the Commanders, you have a rookie quarterback, but when the moment was big, man, got to get that first down. He gets that rush. I think we're looking at another C.J. Stroud year. I mean, obviously, maybe not the numbers wise, but when you look at how he played this year, I mean, new ownership, new coach, new quarterback, new everything,
new OC,
and they win this first game. And I would say Tampa Bay was a scary team to get out. I think that they kind of got in by the thin of their teeth or whatever you want to say, but at the same time, they have weapons on both sides of the ball that could change how the playoffs play. So I think the way they played in this game, I will tell you right now, if you kick field goals though in this next game, you will not win.
No,
and Washington, and Washington's been known for that because there's been multiple games where that field goal kicker goes out and does like 6 field goals a game. It's like no, touchdowns, 7-point scores, not 3.
Well, and he is known. Quinn is known to go for it on fourth downs at the weird spots. So he may have to do that quite a bit against the Lions next week. Daniels had 268 yards passing and the touchdown for the win, and Mayfield only had 185 yards and 2 touchdowns. They didn't really use Bucky Irving as much too. That running attack tonight. I mean, he caught a touchdown out of the backfield, but they didn't really use him. They was mostly trying to throw the ball down the field. And like you said, the Evans was not utilized. Kate Otten was a little bit here and there, but nothing like he's been used all year. He just come back from injury. They just didn't seem like they could, and they were just they couldn't get that third down, or they couldn't get him to fourth down. They just couldn't stop him. I mean, Daniels, the bright lights didn't bother him one bit. There was one time where they had the camera on him for a minute. It almost looked like a minute. I think he blinked twice.
Yep.
He was focused like hell, and he wanted to. He is. I got to see another year out of him, but I think he's going to be really good.
Yeah, well, you got to even think when they do kick that last field goal to win it, it hit Doinks in, which just we were like, if you're a Tampa Bay fan, you're just like pissed off. I mean, it hits the goalpost and it doesn't go out anywhere. Like you have to hit it a certain way for it to still go in. But Jane Daniels, after it kicks good, he doesn't smile, nothing. It was just like one of these like, you could just tell that like a light switch flips when it's game on, because press conference he's laughing. He's like, I all I thought about was I got some press conference after this. The game is on. He had a cut under his eye, which I did laugh at the announcer saying, if this was any other player outside of a quarterback, we wouldn't care.
Right.
Like if this was a D lineman getting a cut, they'd be like, sew him up, get his ass back out there. Because it's a quarterback. I thought it was a great game. It was a great way to finish the day. Because the morning was like okay, close, and then a blowout. And the second game we were kind of like, man, those Eagles might be pretty damn good. I mean, that's scary. And then we get to this night game and we're like, all right, here we go. And it was a good way to finish it up on Sunday night.
I definitely agree. We needed something to get it over because the first 4 games was not good. I mean, they were blowouts. Kind of like the college football playoffs. You get these early round games. Is it because of the talent? I mean, is it because we got too many people in the playoffs, blah, blah, blah? But it just was not good. It wasn't good football. It's hard to watch.
Well, then we go on to Monday night. Monday night, we talking about blowouts. We keep that blowout streak going on Monday night. Rams play the Vikings, obviously, in Arizona due to the ongoing fire situation in L.A. I saw the LAFD. I thought that was super cool by them. I will say I gave a lot of crap to State Farm. But the people that worked at that arena or that stadium arena did an amazing job. It did almost feel like an LA home game. It was really cool is what they did. Obviously, they give the moment of silence to start the game, and you're kind of like, okay. And then that was the moment, as a Vikings fan, I sat there and I looked at my wife and I go, we're about to get our brakes beat off. And she goes, what? Why are you saying that? I said, they got more to play for right now. They have so much more to play for, and they are ready to go compared to the Vikings, where I think they're still harboring, still licking their wounds, still pouting their heads about what happened with Detroit. And guess what? Was I right? Stafford comes out and plays a great game. Didn't have to play an amazing game, but plays a great game. I still do not agree with that pass, bull crap. You heard what Bill Belichick said, where he was like, Why did you guys think it was not going to be a pass? It's an offensive league. They never favor the defense. Totally agree. That's a pitch. That is a pitch in my head. That's not a pass. It didn't go over his head. Nothing like that. Whatever. Flip of the wrist. I thought that was something else. Control with the wrist. But whatever. That's not what lost you the game. That's not.
No.
Sam Darnold is not the reason you lost this game. I don't want to hear that either. Sam Darnold didn't play as great. Yeah. Nobody came to play. Nobody. The defense didn't come to play. The offense didn't come to play. The coach didn't come to play. Nobody came to play this game. It was literally just one of these games where it was like, you know what? You guys have been going through a lot. How about you take this win? After a 14-win season. And, I laughed because there was all these people baying, well, Vikings, you guys are still in it after losing to Detroit. No, in that moment in Detroit, we learned what that real team was. That team was a fake all year. And when they had to play a team that is actually playing for something, they get their brakes beat off. After they held up Sam Darnold, they scored 12 points. 12 points. You're not going to win any games. But what did you think about this game?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, with that pass, I mean, Stafford to Williams right off the bat at 7-0. They kick a field goal, it's down 10-0. Reichert tries to get him back in. That big forward pass, I think that's a fumble as well. I can see something next year in the rules changing that you have to have. You don't think? I think they've got to do something because I'm sorry, but that's not a pass. That's a fumble.
Yeah.
I know he was trying to shovel it out, but there's got to be some kind of arm angle that they have to do to make that as sure as it's a pass. Roughing the kicker, it extends the Rams a run. It was just like they just was just there just to be playing the game. And you could tell the fans were totally in. I mean, there was some Viking fans there. You could tell, but it's just like they just was not. They just couldn't get going at all. They tried to get it to Jefferson and Addison. They made a couple of hell of catches, but the running attack wasn't bad either. It's just like their offensive line, 9 sacks. You can't give up 9 sacks to win a game. I'm sorry, you're not going to be able to, and that makes Darnold look not good. And now we got to talk about the elephant in the room. Do you pick up Darnold or not?
Well, I don't think you pick him up. I mean, I would think you have to get a hometown discount to even pick him up because I do think there is a team out there that's going to pay that money. I mean, he played really well 14 games out of the year, right? The last 2 games of the year, he did not play well. I don't blame this loss on him. I don't. And I know people are like, well, I mean, kind of need good quarterback play. When you're running for your life, out of like half the plays, I don't see how that's your fault. I mean, the offense and people are like, well, did they pick up the Detroit Lions' schemes? No, they rushed 4 people, and our offensive line couldn't stop it. Now it sucks. I think it was our right guard or right tackle went out, which happened again in LA the first time. But we lost to 2 teams this year. 2 teams.
Yeah.
Like, that is such a Vikings thing to lose to 2 teams and not be going to the divisional round. Like, it's just, I don't know. I don't know what they do because there's so many problems now with Brian Flores possibly leaving. You got some older guys on the defensive side. Is Gilmore going to want to play another year? Is Harrison Smith going to want to play another year? You did pick up like a good person like Van Ginkel or whatever. Is he going to want to come back? On the offensive side, you got to pay Addison, because he had too good of a year to not now pay him, but he was kind of nowhere to be seen the last 2 games that you needed him. You paid Jefferson, but do you get a hometown discount with him? And do you want that? I mean, you went out and got in the top 10 draft picks J.J. McCarthy. So is J.J. McCarthy your future? You went out and got Giants' old quarterback.
Oh, Daniel Jones.
Do you see if you can redo this again? Is Kevin O'Connell even going to be with the Vikings next year? There's a lot of talks that teams are asking about what would you trade for him? What would you want for him? I mean, there's a lot of things happening that is just like this year was the year that you kind of had to make a play. And outside of what I saw with the Notre Dame team that we're going to talk about, in another podcast, they hung their heads when they got down. I mean, it was bad. I mean, I turned it off. I will be honest. As a Vikings fan, I was like, yeah, F this. I'm not going to go work all day on Monday and deal with all the bull crap that I got to deal with, and then spend my night watching my team just get absolutely slaughtered to wake up the next morning and do the same shit. No, thank you. No, thank you.
Well, and I think with the Darnold deal, I think you can re-sign him, but he's not a $40 or $50 million quarterback. He might be a 20 or 30, and if he doesn't want to take that, let him go somewhere else. See what you got in J.J. McCarthy. I think if this team would have got to the NFC Championship, yeah, I think you could go out and pay him that and then trade J.J. McCarthy. See what you can get for him. Maybe another first-round pick or something. But now I don't think so. I think you've got to see what you got in J.J. McCarthy.
I mean, I honestly could see it a whole different way where the starting quarterback is not Sam Darnold or J.J. McCarthy. Because I think they're in a good situation with Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones, we forget like a couple years ago, he slaughtered us in the playoffs, right? Yeah. I think he was in a bad regime. And I think Kevin O'Connell can bring out any typical quarterback. My problem, though, is can he get a playoff quarterback? Can he get someone that can perform well in the playoffs? Because if not, then it's all for shit. Because I'll just be a Vikings regular season fan, okay? We'll just be a regular season fan where and I just don't understand it. I don't understand the whole – you had a whole extra day to get ready for this game. You had all this momentum because you lose against the Lions, so now you got to pick yourself up and you got to win this game. LA, the Rams have this whole problem going on in their situation. Their mind's probably elsewhere. And we're the less focused team. Like, I feel like that's on the coach a little bit.
Yeah.
But, so how did you do betting this weekend?
Well, finally, I took the Rams last night. So that I was off the snide. For the weekend, I was 1-5. 1-5. Yikes. Hopefully next weekend it could be a little bit better. Because that won't pay the bills.
Yeah, no, I ended up 1-2. Luckily, I thought it was gonna be a great day because the Bills hit my first one. Right. I'm like, all right, here we go. Packers make it close, right? First play happens, you're like, all right, nope, lose that one. And then obviously taking the Vikings was just so stupid. I honestly, if I didn't already put my bet in, I probably would have changed it before kickoff because I would have just been like, even the Monday night countdown just felt like it was like the Rams are gonna win this game. Right. So I ended up 1-2. So we're looking at divisional round now. Crazy to think we're already at that situation. On Saturday, you're going to have 2 games on Saturday and then 2 games on Sunday. Saturday, you have Texans versus Chiefs at 3:30. You have Commanders and Lions at 7 p.m. On Sunday, you have at 2 o'clock the Rams and Eagles. And then at 5:30, you have the Ravens and Bills. That Ravens and Bills game we'll definitely talk about. We'll talk about all 4 of them because obviously there's a lot of – it's kind of sad. I know we're on episode, 64. We've went out throughout the whole year of this. But to think that we're only going to talk about 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday, we will talk about the national championship on Monday, which we'll talk about that in future. But we'll do a special episode for that one. But it's crazy that we're already kind of getting in there because then the following week we go to 2 games. Yeah. And then we have the Super Bowl. And it's like, where did this football season go at the same time? I will say it's nice now because now I only have to focus about one team. Same for you.
Yeah.
Because the Vikings I honestly thought I was going to have a perfect year where Notre Dame was going to do really well. Vikings are going to – and we're talking about national championship. We're talking about Super Bowl. I get to party twice.
Right.
Yeah, don't worry. Don't worry.
The football guy says, not so fast, my friend.
Well, and if I had one choice, whether it was like Notre Dame winning the national championship or the Vikings winning the Super Bowl, 100 times I'm taking Notre Dame winning the national championship. 100 times. Yeah. Like just because I think it's – and we'll have a special episode about that. But one thing I want to talk about before we get out of here today is the coach carousel. The coaching carousel. Obviously, a lot of coaches are getting fired. Some coaches are getting replaced. Only one head coach has been actually officially named as the head coach, which I don't think they can actually name him until the divisional round. I think they could say they're going to hire him, but I don't think they can actually hire them until the divisional round.
I think because he's not part of since his team wasn't in the playoffs, I think they can hire him.
Okay. I knew there was a silly rule.
The other teams that are still playing.
Yeah, or you can only interview or like there's certain things. Right. But the person that has got hired is Vrabel at the Pats. Obviously, Vrabel played there during their heyday, a part of their heyday, right? Goes to Tennessee, has his great, which I don't think, like when I look back at his Tennessee, it's like he didn't really have great success. He had good success, but not great success. And then obviously we all knew it was kind of coming back. I think if Mayo would have done better in this situation, which he was set up to fail, if he would have done better in that, maybe it changes. Vrabel goes there. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think, and here's the deal. It's kind of like the Bears. Are they going to let him pick his own people as far as draft picks and stuff like that? If they don't, and they still have the GM, they said this GM I've been watching out of Boston, they don't care for him at all. And if he's the one that's doing all the picking, then we're still right back where we are with Gerard Mayo. Yeah. We're right back to it. Gerard Mayo or Mike Vrabel's got to have total control, carte blanche. If this is going to work, he has got to. And if it doesn't, it will not work. We're right back to where we were with the old coach. So he has got to pick his own players. He can't have somebody else in there picking his players. It won't work.
Yeah, but name another organization that allows that. Like, name one.
Andy Reid. I think him and the GM, they get together. And
good relationship. They're a good relationship. Otherwise, I know what Bill Belichick did for so long will never happen again. It'll never. No. Because they saw how it fell out at the end. Yeah. And that's why. Right. But, like, oh, no, he had 20 years of success, 25 years of good success. But, like, I don't think Vrabel's going to do that. And now Vrabel at the other side, he watched, was it A.J. Brown? Yeah, A.J. Brown get traded after he said he wants him and keeps him. And we've seen that clip of him on draft day just seeing it and walking away, being, like, pissed. I think Vrabel's going to bring back a little bit of Bill Belichick. Do your job. Yeah. Do your job and do, like, because what I've heard in the NFL throughout this whole year is accountability. Yeah. I mean, even Mike, oh, dang it, the Dolphins coach.
McDaniel.
Him making comments at the end presser talking about guys getting away with it and I'm finding them, but what can I do? Is this a little bit of the reproduction that we have now because of NIL? Is this a little bit of like, you know, are we making pros out of college players too early? But are we not making pros at all because they are pros in college level? I just think Vrabel is going to go back to a little bit of that old school. I think everyone kind of went new school and was like, let's very coach or player friendly coaches. Vrabel ain't going to be that way.
No, I don't. I agree, Anthony. And also too, they said with Gerard Mayo, it was too much. He didn't hold nobody accountable.
Yep.
And there was a lot of the players like Ramon Stevenson. He got benched because he fumbled the ball. And he was supposed to bench for the whole half and only benched for one series. Yep. It's like the players knew that they could get away with it, and he wasn't going to hold them accountable. And I think that's why they made the coaching change, because he wasn't holding anybody accountable, and he lost the locker room.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Well, that also takes us to another one that there's rumors swirling. Don't know if it'll actually happen or not, but McCarthy is out in Dallas, which we kind of saw that coming. Kind of a dick move by Jerry Jones because he doesn't let him go interview elsewhere, but then also says, no, you can't, we're not bringing you back. Which, you know, there was that whole Cooper Rush thing, just a lot of things going bad at the end. So whose name comes up? What about that guy that performed pretty well, prime time down there? Oh, yeah, Deion Sanders. He's a coach now. What do you think about them possibly? I'm not saying they are, but what do you think if they did bring in Deion?
I think he'd be good. I think he would be good down there because he could talk to people. He's a talker. He is a person that could say, okay, you're playing this good, but we still got to keep doing and playing this good. I don't think Jerry's going to do it. Jerry Jones is too much of the Barnum Bailey circus. He is the ringmaster, and he is not going to be overplayed by Deion. So he is the center of attention. He is the ringmaster. And just by the dick move of, well, I'm going to, Mike McCarthy, hold you and not let you sign with anybody else because I have you under contract till the 13th of January. And you're going to work until midnight of the 13th of January. And I guess over the haggling was over incentives. Deion's not going to do that. Deion is going to say, you know what? I want my money. I want my guaranteed money. And I want it. I'm not going to play on incentives. I want it now.
See, I think Deion's great for the media. Great for the media. Because I think there's a thing that nobody's talking about. Is Deion a good coach? I mean, what has he won? What has he done to deserve an NFL coaching position? I mean, I don't get it. Like Colorado, can we also remember where Colorado was this year? Where Colorado was the year before? Now, don't get me wrong. What he did before he came to Colorado was great for that 1 year, but he brought his players with him. And then there's rumors. My wife was like, "Did you hear that the only way he'll take the Cowboys job is if they go get his sons?" And it's like, okay, that's not how it works. That's not how the draft works. But no, and it's like, but I just it'll be great for the media because it's just gonna be a circus. Yeah. But is that what you need right now? But at the same time, that's what Jerry puts the element into, is being the largest, greatest circus that we ever watched because. I don't understand. I really don't. I don't think Deion would be a good hire for them.
No, I don't either.
And I think it takes them back if they do that way. So I will love it, though. I will laugh so hard if they do take Dion
Well,
because
yeah. And that's the deal too, is that Dion would take some of the spotlight away from Jerry, and that's not Jerry. Jerry wants the spotlight on him heavy.
yeah.
And if you would just been nice, I mean, they could have won so many Super Bowls back in the '90s, but Jimmy Johnson got tired of his BS, so he thought, well, I'll hire Barry Switzer, which that championship was Jimmy Johnson's players. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they could have won 5 Super Bowls down there if you just would have. If you would have didn't want to have the spotlight always,
Well, do you feel like Jimmy Johnson got too big? He got too big for the star, if that makes sense. He got bigger than the star, so that's what caused him.
And he was taking some of the limelight away from Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
Jerry Jones has got to be like you said, the Regal Barlin Bailey. He's got to be the circuit master. He can't get, I mean, he's wanting people fired off of radio programs. It's just, I think Dion is better suited in the college where he can kind of mold players.
Yeah.
In the NFL, you can't mold players. They're already set.
Well, and we'll see his real coaching when he's got to bring in the recruits now to replace the players that he brought with him. Final thing I'll say about Jerry Jones, hell of an actor, though. Hell of an acting job on Land, man. I'll tell you right now, that got me goosebumps. It was like, yeah.
Yes. That was good.
But from his press conferences, no. Good job, Taylor Sheridan, because that was definitely not. But we want to thank everyone so much for listening. This is episode 64. We are going to be releasing an episode on Thursday, episode 65. It's a special episode. We bring on a special guest. We'll talk about who our guest is going to be. We're talking strictly Notre Dame football. So if you love us, come listen to it, right? If you love Notre Dame, come listen to it. If you hate us, come listen to it, right? Because Notre Dame is a brand that is love or hate, and it's such great little controversy that I had to go on the love side of it. This guest will be a great person to bring in. They've been in a couple shows that have to be done with Notre Dame. So we want to totally thank everyone for listening. Have a great rest of your week, and listen to us on Thursday.